tuned into Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, Tony's Rolling Bones inspired Deuce coupe in Henry's favourite shade. And engineering meets art. We shed raid Taupo's Hayter Precision Metalworks. But first, thanks to our mates at Maguire's, we're off to Mount Maunganui for the Bay of Plenty Mustang Owners Club's excellent annual All-USA Day. While social media would suggest Mustangs and crowds have a rather difficult relationship at times, we're pleased to report both were on their best behaviour and in abundance on this warm late spring day. But despite the host club's obvious lean to Ford's iconic pony car, their popular All-USA Day extends the invite to all vehicles of American origin, an invite accepted in the hundreds.
It's great. We've had the Corvette Club come down from Auckland, but a lot of people come from the Waikato. We came from Rotorua and of course further south. So yeah, if you've got a car that you want to use, come and see us, and it'll be a great day to see all the models and makes and so on, and see who comes out with the People's Choice Trophy and so on. Good stuff.
Mount Maunganui's Classic Flyers Museum once again made for a great backdrop for the All-USA Day in 2019, while the turnout ranged from vehicles pre-war all the way up to modern muscle. The event does have a judged element if you opt in, but one with criteria that reflects the car park's distinct lack of trailer queens.
We judge on condition and cleanliness. So out of 10 points for cleanliness, we're not looking underneath today because a lot of the cars have driven quite a long way to be here. But providing the wheels and the top sides are nice and clean and the engine bay is nice and clean and the interior, those are the things we look at.
And even some of the day's Mustang Owner Club members would make full use of the day's all-in philosophy, like Dave and his crowd-pleasing 47 Caddy.
Yeah, I'm a member of two clubs, so that I brought the Cadillac and volunteered to work for the Mustang Club, so there you go. It's a 1947 Cadillac Club Coupe, Series 62.
And while the car was restored in LA, Dave is clearly a man who doesn't shy away from a challenge. He imported it from Finland.
Very difficult when you're dealing with a Finnish truck driver who was never home. He's always driving around Europe, and he didn't speak a word of English, and I certainly don't speak any Finnish, so we got there in the end. Paying the money over was someone that you didn't know and you couldn't see it, and I had nobody over there that could help me. But in the end we reached a deal and paid a deposit, and the moment the shipping company told me that it was in the container, I paid the rest of the money, and here it is, and it was everything I expected. So.
And it turns out the Club Coupe is even more well-travelled, calling Sweden home before being sold into Finland's Inland Lakes district.
I tracked down the original husband and wife in LA. He supplied me all the photos of how it was when it came out of the barn. The car was originally black with large rust holes in the bonnet and all sorts of drama, but he thought he was going to pull it out of the barn and give it a quick lick of paint and drive it, but it went a bit further than that, I think. Just an awesome looking car. I think there's one other in New Zealand like it, but from the rear it's just got an amazing shape, and the style that they put into these things was just really something special.
So while some cars have travelled around the world to be here, on this day at least, the same couldn't be said for Rick and his 69 Camaro.
So my storage garage is like 200 metres from here, so didn't even get it warmed up, which is a shame, but go for a cruise later on today. It's a 69 RS, that's original 350, 650 Holly and extractors and the general stuff, but yeah, nothing too fancy. When I was about 20, I helped a guy rebuild a 69, and ever since then I've always wanted one, and found this one through a friend, which was brilliant.
And Rick's done this one the smart way, buying his dream car with a heap of the hard work already in it.
Yeah, that was my goal, because I'm not I'm a wood guy. I can make anything out of wood, but not engineering. So yeah, I needed something that was ready to go. I think it's the when you look down the body style, you've got that quite distinctive line that comes off the rear that sort of flows through to the front, just different than the 67 and 68. So, and original and only for that year. So, love it.
In the next row was another of Detroit's greatest hits.
It's a 1971 Dodge Challenger with a 440 and 4-speed. I've always wanted a Mopar, I guess. I've got a Ford as well, but yeah, the Mopar's always had that inkling to go that way. Not as many of them around, I guess, and a bit more unique. It was restored 14 years ago, so it's been kept in pretty good nick by the previous owner. I tried to buy it a while back and it sold very quickly and I missed out. Yeah, one of those things. It was the one I was after and yeah, I got away, but yeah, in the end, all that comes to those who wait, I guess.
And now that Blair has his mitts on the 71's keys, good luck trying to pry them from him.
I've got no plans of getting rid of it, so yeah, touch wood, everything stays good with it and be in the family for a while.
And of course, we can't forget the Mustangs. From the host club, Ray and his 67 Fastback.
This one has a bit of a resto mod. We've done a few tricks to it, but essentially it's still running its original 289. Perfect engine, super reliable. Hey, we've twigged it up a little bit with some alloy heads and a decent sort of a carby, etc. Hidden a bit of wiring just to make it a little bit trickier inside the engine bay there. Interior, I've classed it up a little bit, add a little bit more of my own personal flair in there. And as you can see, it's come up really trumps. I saw a photograph many, many years ago of one and I said, I gotta have one of them. And it's just coincidentally, my twin brother beat me to the punch on that and bought one himself. So of course, a year later, I was able to secure this one. And I didn't even have to go to the States to get it. So I was really fortunate a local owner decided that he needed to move it on. And I was the fortunate one that put in the best offer.
And it's not just Ray and his twin who have caught a bit of a Mustang addiction in the Sperling family. Younger brother Brian owns a 71 Fastback, while daughter Pascal pilots a 65 convertible.
The whole family's got a bit of a love to the old Fords, and the Mustang was the best way of getting into it. We've all had Escorts and the Cortinas and the likes, and had some opportunities, and we took them, and Mustangs is where we're at the moment. We do help each other out. We're a very competitive family, and essentially we're trying to get one up on the other. Fortunately, I got ahead of the other guys this year and got a first place at the Nationals, and they got second in their classes. So I'm one up on there, so I've got some bragging rights within the family around the dinner table anyway.
The Bay of Plenty Mustang Owners Club's All USA Day was once again a car show for a cause, with proceeds this year going to Tauranga charity Good Neighbour.
Amazing results, even at full sight.
Right, thanks to the good folks from Mount Shop, we're shed raiding Taupo's Hayter Precision Metalworks, a workshop quickly building a name for their innovative and slightly obsessive approach to handcrafting motor vehicles. For proprietor Matt Hayter, he didn't have much of a chance, with Dad a hot rodder through and through, and his father before him an engineer and engine reconditioner. It's very much in the bloodline. And Matt wasted little time before getting his hands dirty.
About 12, 13, I decided it would be a good idea to start building my own hot rod. Yeah, we purchased some mail order T-bucket plans from the USA. I'd come home from school, most likely still in my school uniform, and into the shed and get a chunk of steel and yeah, start cutting it up, drilling holes in it, making brackets for all the bits and pieces that we needed to make, and on from there we went. I don't know, handed down to you, I guess. Yeah, mechanical things were just simple to me, and I understood them, and the older I got, the more interested I got in learning how things worked, and yeah, I just got a real love for what I call a hot rod, which is something with little wheels on the front, big wheels on the back, big loud exhaust, you know, bright paint. Yeah, just that real in-your-face hot rod. Never really got any further than that.
So it seems a foregone conclusion that Matt would one day end up right where he is now. Founded in 2016, Hayter Precision Metalworks specialises in custom engineering, machining and full fabrication. Joined by Regan on the tools, HPM is just a paint booth and upholstery bench away from a full one-stop shop for hand-building one-off vehicles.
I really enjoy the build part of the job, and I love being able to create something pretty much out of nothing, which was probably the real appeal with building a hot rod. Just the pulling it apart and customising it and making things work. Seeing the finished product was always the driving factor behind building a car, and then, yeah, got to go to work, so might as well do something you enjoy. Yeah, initially it was just a lot of smaller jobs, mainly around the engineering side of things, chassis and suspension, steering, that sort of stuff. We soon realised that there was definitely a bit more of a demand for the whole package. Guys are starting to bring us whole cars, and so we need the whole thing up to scratch for certification. And yeah, we sort of had to grow with it.
One of those whole cars was a truck, Ross's 55 GMC. But don't let that patina throw you off. Under those weathered panels hides some very trick engineering in the form of a custom chassis with independent front end, shockwave airbags and LS3 powertrain. Dressed to kill along with one seriously smooth engine bay, but throw that as-found GMC cab and tray over the top and the truck leaves only a few hints of its 21st century performance and ride. Weaving that late model technology and high level of finish into early cars is becoming something of an HPM trademark, even now going as far as starting construction on their own independent front ends, ones that meet Matt's standards.
We definitely enjoy the aspect of mixing some of the new technology with the old vehicles. Clean engineering, nice brackets, and looks like it's supposed to be there, not just a square plate banged on, a couple of bolts in it, but without trying to make it too smooth. I guess would be definitely our style. Like, we don't want to build like a big sleek looking blob. Nicely finished, nicely fitted, definitely a bit of creativity going into the engineering and the style of it.
In fact, a lot of Matt's metalwork borders on art. But this sort of art takes time and a near obsessive approach, one that Matt has had to rein in a bit on customer builds.
I've had to learn to back off a little bit because you have to draw the line somewhere, unfortunately. I know some of the big builders overseas, they can build, spend millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of hours on getting something absolutely perfect, but the reality is in New Zealand, there just isn't that market. If they're going to be driven, yeah, there's certainly a point where you've just got to stop and go, that's enough.
And enough looks pretty good to us. We look forward to seeing what rolls out the doors of Taupo's Hayter Precision Metalworks in the years ahead. And with 3 generations of auto obsession already in the Hayter bloodline, we're betting there will be plenty of those years to come too.
I don't know about the dream job. I mean, you still got to get up every morning and go to work, but pretty proud of where we've got to. I think my grandfather and my father and all the people that have taught me things over the years would be pretty rapt to see where we've got to.
Right, thanks to Need a Car, it's time to check out Tony House's Rolling Bones-inspired Deuce coupe.
I suppose like every child growing up with their dad and that, he had a couple of cars, 58 Gold Flash, and a 48 Mercury coupe. Always remember that. I was like, out with his mates, like, how cool's that? And so, yeah, I suppose the bug was there, and that was real young. Boom, here we are.
And it's a path that's not only shaped the cars he drives, but the friends he keeps.
Every car, every time you're doing a job on a car and you need someone to help you, or you need to get a part or something like this, you just create friendships. And that's what it's all about, you know? Creating good memories and great friendships in cars, you know? It's something we're passionate about and we love.
Tony's spent the last couple of decades working his way through some seriously cool cars. He's built plenty too, but while there will always be a space for a muscle car in his heart and garage, as far as hot rods go, he's got a taste for the more traditional. A run of Model A's peppered with the occasional other 30s-era Ford has led to the end goal, this real-deal Deuce coupe.
I'm probably more towards the traditional post-war era hot rod. The holy grail is a steel 32, and that's what happened a couple of years ago. Surfing the net, you know, when I should have been working, as we do. Yeah, it grabbed my attention. The best thing about this car was an old 32 hot rod, and the guy took a different direction, and he fell in love with the rolling bones, as a lot of us do. And he did the chop, so he was in touch with Keith and all that, and he got measurements and this and that. Everything was just tacked in and things like that, and I was like, wow, that's got the making of something, you know.
While the iconic 32 has been done every which way, the Rolling Bones Hot Rod Shop of Saratoga Springs, New York, are world-renowned for their raw and hammered hot rods. Hot rods with their bobbed and pinched frames and heavily louvered bodies that look like they've come straight off the salt flats in the 50s.
I knew straight away I wanted to put a quick change in it. I wanted to dump the front end. We couldn't finish the car like a Rolling Bone style. You know, we need frame horns here, you know, just how they do their front end. We just can't do it over here legally. I brought in a car from Steadfast Engineering, and Henry over in Ohio, he's got a recipe on how to get a car low.
And while the chopped coupe body looked the goods, the chassis would reveal the stark contrast between what will fly on the roads of Texas and here in New Zealand. The original axle, steering, spring and diff were traded, and the Steadfast formula was employed up front, including a 5-inch dropped axle and super low mono spring. Out back, a Model A crossmember was fabbed in and the new Winters quick change diff set in place. While the heavy chop had set the initial theme, Tony set about working other Rolling Bones influences into the 32, bobbing the rear and relocating a fuel tank into the trunk, clearing the way for that rolled rear pan, a crucial part of nailing the coupe's final look. Louvers were added to the rear pan as well as recesses for the taillights and exhausts. Louvers were also punched into the trunk lid. After all the time spent studying the Rolling Bones design aesthetic, come time to paint, far less homework was required.
I've always wanted a black hot rod, you know, like a previous customer, when we're choosing colours for him, he said to me, oh, black's for people that haven't got imagination. And true, there's merit in that, but it's what I wanted. You know, I never had a black car myself, a black hot rod, and you know, it just screams Henry Ford. I wanted it down low, the arse end up, so it's got a bit of that, you know, Bonneville kind of style look to it, you know. People who build hot rods know, you know, it's the fun's in the building for sure, you know, and it's just nuttering out how everything's going to go, the chassis work, the engineering work, just getting everything down pat and right. From there, the painting and all that stuff. Well, that's just painting. That's easy, you know. Like I said to my painter, you know, I just said I want a gloss black hot rod. What colour black? Black. It's good that everyone has got their own taste. Otherwise, they would be like belly buttons, you know, and everyone would have one. But you know, as you can see, there's not one in the country like this, you know, chopped like that. And I hope there won't be.
Tony's 32 was treated to a traditionally styled cockpit, the last work of regular collaborator and talented trimmer, the late Sean Horwood. Drum brakes are charged with pulling the coupe to a stop with Buick fins up front. Tony refers to the motor as a belly button shift, but it's copped alloy heads, a roller cam and MSD ignition, and it moves the rowdy coupe along rather nicely, thanks very much.
Yeah, that quick change in the rear end and just screams, you know, the whole car just screams hot rod when it's going down the street. I took to work the other day and just people were just like, you know, like, what's that? You know, it's just going down what we drive and you just creep up beside them. And you don't even have to go fast and you look fast.
And importantly, this real steel Henry Ford coupe drives exactly like a period-built, hopped-up hot rod should.
A lot of people, you know, they want a hot rod and all that, and then they get into a hot rod, and then they realise, oh, they bounce around, and they don't really handle that great on cross plies and this and that, but that's part of the tradition. And you know, if you want to be in these old cars, that's just how it is, you know, just suck it up, or you know, go and buy a Commodore, you know.
Your ride needs some love? We've got you sorted. Thanks to our mates at Maguire's, we have this massive complete car care pack worth $700 to give away, plus a $500 mount shop voucher to keep the underside shipshape too. And to top it off, a 1-year subscription to NZ V8 magazine. To enter, simply head to themotorhood.com and hit the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. The winner will be drawn at the end of the series. Easy. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car, the easy way to research and buy cars online.